Hi everyone, in today's lesson you will learn how to simplify an expression by multiplying and dividing. You will have been successful today if you can multiply algebraic terms and divide algebraic terms. So let's start by collecting terms by multiplying. Here I have 3 times an apple. This is the same as asking what is 3 times 1 apple? Our answer would simply be 3 apples. So 3 times an apple, we can just sit them next to each other without the multiply sign in the middle, 3 apples. The same applies to algebra. 3 times A, we don't need to show the multiply sign in the middle, we can just write them next to each other, like 3A. For 4 times B, we can just write this as 4B. And for 0.5 times Y, we can just write this as 0.5Y. This also applies if we have 2 letters multiplying each other. X times Y can just be written as XY. S times T can be written as ST. And A times B times C can be written as ABC. So, in example 3, we've got X times X. If these were numbers, for example 3 times 3, to multiply a number by itself, you could say that this is 3 squared. Because this is a number, we could write that as 9. We can apply the same logic to letters. X times X is simply X squared. However, we don't know the value of X, so we can't go any further, so the answer is X squared. B times B times B, well, to multiply something by itself, and then by itself again is to cube it. So we can write this as b to the power 3. 3 times b times b times b is simply 3b cubed. In example 4, we've got x times x times 3. X times x gives us x squared, and we still have to multiply this by 3. If I've got 3 sets of x squared, I've got 3x squared. 3 times d times 5, well 3 times d would just be 3d, and I've still got to multiply this by 5. 5 sets of 3d, 5 times 3 gives me 15d altogether. In part C I've got 5a times 3b, so I can start by multiplying the numbers together. 5 times 3 gives me 15, a times b is just ab. 4a squared. So we need to be careful here. The 4 is inside the bracket, which means the 4 is also getting squared. So this is 4a multiplied by 4a. 4 times 4 is 16. A times a is a squared. Okay, so let's move on to division. 9p divided by 3. Well, we can divide the 9 by 3. 9 divided by 3 gives me 3. The p is still there as well. In part B, I've got 8a divided by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and the a is still there. 14b divided by 7. 14 divided by 7 is 2, and the b is still there, so the answer is 2b. In example 6, 12 divided by 4 is 3. And t divided by t gives me 1. So if I had to write that down, that would become 3 times 1, which is just 3. Okay, so 12t divided by 4t is just 3. 5s divided by s. So technically that's 1s. 5 divided by 1 is still 5. S divided by s is 1, so our answer is just 5. 20d divided by 4d. 20 divided by 4 gives me 5. D divided by d is just 1, so our answer is simply 5. In example 7, I've got x cubed divided by x. Now I'll write this as a fraction just to show you it more clearly. We could also write that like this. Now x cubed means x times x times x. All over x. Now, On top we've got 3 x's multiplying, and on the bottom we've got an x dividing. I know that x divided by x is just 1, so if I divide this x by this x, that just leaves me with a 1, which means my final answer is x times 1, which is just x squared. In part B, I've got y to the power of 7 divided by y. So this is the same as y to the power of 7 over y. Now if I had to write this out in full, that would be y times y times y times y times y times y times y all over y. The multiply y divided by y would leave me with 1, which means I'm left with y to the power of 6. In this one here, I've got x to the power of 5 over x squared. I've got 5 x's multiplying on top and 2 multiplying on the bottom. If I divide 2 from the top by 2 from the bottom to leave me with 1, that leaves me with x to the power 3. In part D, I've got w to the power of 4 divided by w to the power of 4. Well, anything divided by itself is just 1. In example 8, I've got 12a divided by 4b. So 12ab over 4b. 12 divided by 4 gives me 3. A doesn't have another a to divide by, so that's still there. The b divided by the b would give me 1, so I'm only left with 3a. In part B, I've got 18xy divided by 9x. 18 divided by 9 is 2. X divided by x leaves me with 1. Y doesn't have another y to divide it, so the y is still there. 2y is my answer. In part C, I've got 15p squared q divided by 3p. 15 divided by 3 is 5. P squared divided by p, well, one of the p's would divide by the p to leave me with 1, which means I'm left with 1p. And q doesn't have another q to divide by, so q is still there as well. In part D, I've got 20xy squared divided by 4x. 20 divided by 4 is 5. X divided by x leaves me with 1. And the y squared doesn't have anything to divide by, so the y squared is still there.